All right, everybody, it is mock draft time.
Mm,
We love us some mock drafts over at Sports Talk Detroit, and we are going to be doing a mock draft here for the Pistons. Full 2 rounds. Let's just see what we get, and let's hope it's real. We are using a website called fanspo.com. And it's hard to find an NBA mock draft simulator, but this is the best one that I've found. We're doing a full draft. We're picking for the Pistons, as you can see, and we are using ESPN as our draft big board. So we're going to go ahead. Chris, you ready to start this draft with
let's
me?
do it. Yeah, I
All right,
mean,
let's start
you and
this
I.
draft.
Oh yeah. Okay. It's picking for us.
Yep,
Chet
it's
at
picking.
2. Bye,
There goes
Chet.
Jabari. There goes Paolo. So we almost got left with one of the big three. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes.
So here we go. Let's look at this, and they've even done a really good job. They're saying we have 44.1 million in cap space. I don't think I agree with that, but that's just because there's some guys that haven't picked up their contract. But they have our roster here, which is fantastic. But Chris, who on this left side here, who's sticking out to you at the number 5 pick right now? Like, what are some of the thoughts going through your head on
Yeah,
what you want to do?
I'm glad you asked me that at the very end because my overall emotions right now are just like yeah, seeing those big guys pop off before us. And now you just get to you're looking and you and I did a video on this where you look at Ivy. Hey, I like him, don't love him. And I actually
Sure.
like him as a player, love him as a player, really. But with the
Okay.
Pistons, it just feels, man, I don't know. And then we did a good video on Benedict Mathurin as well. Same thing. I feel a little bit better about him, but the point is, I don't love this where we're at 5. This is the whole thing. I do think, and you and I've said, we can get possibly a star. It's just a lower percentage than if we were picking in the top 4.
It is. It's a lower percentage, and I think if you were picking, but here's what I will say. So we see the guys that have already gone down here,
Mm.
right? And for some reason they had AJ Griffin go 1. That's not happening. But this is a world where we thought we could see Jaden Ivey here, and we think if Jaden Ivey's here, they would be the pick. I can see a world where I get what you're saying, Chris, but can't you see a world where Chet Holmgren just ends up being a complete and total bust?
Absolutely.
He turns into Austin Day. And no, he is much more skilled than Austin Day, but like he's just too thin to compete in the NBA and he becomes a liability. I see a world where if Paolo Banchero, he shot 30% from 3 in college. If he can't shoot, he's Jahlil Okafor. He's
Mm.
just a big guy in the middle. Okay, he's better than that. But like I can see like if he's a 6'10 guy who can't shoot, he's Julius Randle before he couldn't shoot, which is not really helpful to any NBA team,
No.
right? Jabari Smith, his proven talent is 3-point shooting. I think he's the closest thing to a lock. Like this is a guy who could be an all-star for many years in this draft. So it's not as easy to see him go. But we still have guys that have the same idea. The problem is you just have lower floors or not as high of ceilings with these guys.
Yeah.
Shaden Sharp has the lowest floor of anybody on this list because who knows what he is. It says he's out of Kentucky. He is not out of Kentucky. He played there, but never played a game.
Yeah.
Right. Dyson Daniels can't shoot. Keegan Murray, highest floor, but people say he has the lowest ceiling. So here's my question. Who are you picking right now? If you have to pick, I'm going to give you 3
Yep.
options. Jaden Ivey, Keegan Murray, or Benedict Mathurin.
My 2 is my 3. Let me go 2 because I don't have 3. Ivy and
Okay.
Murray for me, and I like
You're not
Murray
you are
because
you're not giving my boy Benedict Mathurin
no,
love right now?
no, I'm not. And
Why?
The reason I like Murray, you said a high floor, so we're
Yep.
not going to totally bust here, and we've got enough flexibility, and we may not be good enough even next year where hey we'll need him. I've seen things where it's like high level role player.
Yeah.
And I just think that's kind of it where you're like need these type of guys, right? But the problem is we have those guys probably right now. We hope that we do like high level role player type guys. So Keegan Murray, I don't think has that potential to hit. So I think I come all the way back to our guy Ivy, and that's who I would take here at this pick, even though there's some things I don't love, but I think he's got the potential to be a star.
All right, so let's talk about two of your guys. Let's talk about Murray real quick.
Yep.
Murray, can I give you a comp that I
Mhm.
think Murray has? And people will be like, "What?" Look, I've been watching highlights on this guy. I think he shoots more threes than anybody understands. He's got catch and shoot threes. He's got off the dribble threes. He's got coming around a pick and roll threes. Like, I mean, he is shooting threes like crazy. Keegan Murray, a good comp for him is Chris Middleton, I think.
Mm.
I think here's the difference between Murray and Middleton. Murray comes out of college more polished than Middleton. Middleton was a 38th pick or 37th pick by the Detroit Pistons, by the way, traded him away. Brandon Jennings. Let's not talk about it. But who then tore his Achilles? We're talking about it. I don't know why I said let's not talk about it, and then I talked about it. It's painful. So you have a guy like Keegan Murray. I get what you're saying, but here's what I love about drafting Keegan Murray. So I'm going to give you a pitch for Keegan Murray. I'm going to let you make the final decision, but here's my final pitch. If we draft Keegan Murray, that allows us to then, this draft night, trade Jeremy Grant for another lottery pick because we found his replacement at the 4. So that's why my pick would be Keegan Murray, but I am giving you the floor. If you still want to go Ivy because he has the potential to be the best player in this draft, go Ivy. Like, it's up to you. You just tell me who to pick, and I'm picking him, and we're going to the second round.
Okay, here's why I'm going to pick Keegan Murray. Ready for this comp that I just like?
Okay.
I like it.
Yep.
Oh, I lost it. Hold on. I lost
You lost
it.
your why?
I lost it. I was just going to come in with, here we go. Al Horford. Al Horford is a comp that you're just like, boy, if you're just Al Horford, that feels fine to me. And like you said, then we could trade Grant, take another, I don't want to say flyer, but you almost are, where you're like, I want to try to find a superstar, and that would be an opportunity to do that.
Yeah. And if you got, whether it's Al Horford or Chris Middleton, I'm taking either one of those guys with the 5th pick in a redraft, so it's fine. Not saying that he'll end up being those, but I love the floor on this guy. Yep. That's kind of where I'm at. So we're going to let this auto pick go. It's going until 46. So this is going to take a second. Look, here's the thing that we have to talk about. We can talk about this Keegan Murray pick for a second. And I'm sure we'll do another video where we're breaking him down. I have fallen fairly deeply in love with 2 players from this draft. And I don't know what it is about me. There's a fatal flaw that I have where I'm almost not willing to take the high risk guy. And I think that's why it's a good reason why Troy Weaver's in the GM chair and not me. But what I love about Murray is I see a guy who has all-star potential, but has the floor of he's going to be a solid starting player in the NBA.
Right.
I don't see him just not working. He has decent wingspan at 6'11". He can play in the post. He can shoot threes. He's a good team defender. He's even got good enough lateral quickness to be a good on-ball defender and play on switches and things like that. So I don't have a problem with Keegan Murray. I tend to go more toward high floor than high ceiling. Where are you on the floor versus ceiling conversation?
Yeah, because if you look at it, you look at like, hey, would you rather have Chet or Murray? And you're like, well, because all of a sudden you look at potential bust. I think there is potential bust with Chet. I don't see the potential as high with Murray, and I am absolutely with where we're at in our rebuild. I just want a guy that I know he's going to be here, but he could be here versus I don't know, Shaden Sharp. I don't know, but he could go high, or he could, be a great player. That's just too risky right now. So I'm liking Murray more and more as well.
I will say this too. If you're Troy Weaver and you're getting DeAndre Ayton and you have deals in place to get him, I'm 100% going Murray with this pick because I'm just like, well, I have another all-star caliber player to pair with Cade Cunningham. Like, I just need to fill in good pieces around those 2 guys.
Yep.
And that's how much I feel like Ayton could be a really good player. So here we are with the second pick. I know not as many people care about the second round picks, but people in Detroit love a good second round pick. So when I look at this, and part of this is because I'm a homer, but I do know a few of these guys. You look at Max Christie. He was a guy who really didn't play that well for Michigan State as a freshman. He has a great shooting form. can get his shot off. I feel like Danny Green is a good comp for him if he becomes the best version of himself, but he's a little bit shorter. Um, you have David Roddy. I don't know what to think of this guy. He's like it's like a mound round of rebound, except he's like Charles Barkley, except he can shoot. I don't know, but he's not as athletic. Then you have a guy like Caleb Houston, where you're just basically saying, hey, go develop for a couple years, grow into your body because we know you're going to be a good shooter. And at 6'8", we'd really like to have you around, but he's just not physically ready. Any of these stick out to you?
Yeah, I kind of they so a second round in the NBA is fascinating to me because
Yeah.
you have good names every year, right? It's guys that you've seen in the tournament. But the ability for you to get anywhere when you're a second round pick is, I mean, very, very difficult. So I'm with you. And, we watched Caleb Houston. You nailed it. It's a guy that's just weak. And I don't,
Yes.
you
Very.
know,
And honestly looks kind of unathletic in a weird way.
And I
So,
agree with that totally, and it's just like, man, hey, you're 6'8", you can shoot. So what if we got to believe that our strength, conditioning, all that stuff that you got to believe in, and then you say, hey, 6'8" and you can shoot. I don't know, let's go there. So I think you're definitely just trying to take a flyer. But yeah, Caleb Houston, just because we watched him here at Michigan, but I'm fascinated with second rounds because second rounds always have the names, but it's just that's the type of player. Caleb Houston is a perfect second round pick that's probably not going to make it, but could because he can shoot.
all right, so I'm going to draft Caleb Houston here. I will say, as much as I hate to admit it, I would have picked Max Christie in that spot. And I know because I'm a
Oh,
Michigan guy. I think Max Christie has a higher ceiling. Well, I don't know if that's true. I just don't see it with Caleb Houston. And if he goes out after 1 year at Michigan, I'm very confused why he would leave. I think
yeah,
he needs another year in college, and he hasn't officially declared yet. But
but
like,
he's the
there's early
perfect.
returns that say he could be a first rounder, and I'm like, you say what?
No, and
Like,
he's a perfect example of a guy that needs just one more year. Comes out
yeah,
as a sophomore, it's totally fine. But yeah,
just hit the weight room, bro, and go from there. So there you go. We walk away with Keegan Murray, Caleb Houston. We still have 30 million left in cap space. I think like it's not what we were. Of course, you were hoping for Jabari Smith or Paulo Banchero or something like that. But I like Keegan Murray almost as much. I really do. I don't know.
that's No, it is. It's getting more exciting because you really start zeroing in on a handful of players, and
Yep.
a couple are just like, I don't know if we do that, but a couple are like, man, dude, let's go. And there is a chance that they could hit. And but with Murray, the reason we like him is the chance that he just stays in the league and is a good player is pretty high. I mean, he's going to be a
Does
good
his
player.
age scare you? Because
How old is he?
he's going to be 22 by the time
Oh,
the NBA season starts. Everybody else is 19 or 20.
yeah, exactly. No, no, that's right. I thought for some see this is where it gets weird. Like if you would have said he's gonna be 23, then I'm like, ooh. But 22, of whatever reason, that's just 1 year. It doesn't scare me as much. How about
He
you?
did. It doesn't scare me either. He said this it was very interesting during an interview. He's like, honestly, I feel like I'm a 21-year-old trapped in an 18-year-old's body. And he said, my body didn't mature until recently. I think when he was in high school, he was one of those guys that was like 5'10, 170 pounds, 175 pounds playing guard. And he grew up to be a 6'8, 225-pound power forward. And that doesn't scare me. That excites me when you
No,
have
it's
a
cool.
guy who played guard growing up and all of a sudden now he has the body of a big man and he's just getting used to it. And you saw him just take advantage of people in the Big Ten,
Yeah.
like just destroy them. So, all right, we've talked enough. This is a long video. Mock draft number 1 in the books. This is such a great way to break down players, too. So, if you like this, hit
Mhm.
that subscribe button. Turns out we love talking basketball just as much as football. And I know I sure love the Pistons. If you do too, hit that subscribe button. We want to be your channel for Pistons talk, and we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.